Well, earlier today, pro-Russian separatists opened fire on unarmed Ukrainian soldiers as they crossed back into Ukraine from Russia, where they'd taken shelter from fighting. Well, for some analysis on this conflict, we're now joined by Dr. Harun Yilmaz, who's a Ukrainian history expert from Queen Mary University in London. Thanks very much indeed for joining us. Let's just begin with that surprising figure. 730,000 Ukrainians have left since the beginning of the year, fled to Russia, dwarfing the number who've fled elsewhere in Ukraine, some 117,000 people. Why are those figures so surprising?
For me, they are not surprising, and they may even increase, because the Ukrainian army now trying to encircle two major cities in the conflict zone, Donetsk and Lugansk. So when they start their attack to storm these cities, then there can be more, much more figures increasing.
Do you think for a lot of ordinary Ukrainians who are in the East, the prospect of Russia is a much more stable life for them than what is going on in Ukraine at the moment?
At the moment, they think so. So they are very much convinced that if this separatist movement succeeds, they will have a better life.
But what can they actually expect in Russia? I mean, what are they doing for homes and jobs and all the vital things?
It's about expectation in future. So because the separatist movement, now we are talking about an armed separatist movement, in fact, to my mind, they have everything to be successful. They have an external supporter, they have an ideology, and they have a local support. So if we bring all these three things together, a separatist movement can go on and on for years, either armed or in a disarmed way.
So looking at the sort of the demographics of it, are you saying that people who actually think that there is a better life in Russia and go there now are young families with young children and looking to the future? Is it that, or is it just single people? What kind of breakdown of the kind of people who want to go and move away from Ukraine?
I think in this particular region there's a strong preference to be separated from Ukraine and become part of Russian Federation.
What is life like for people then who are still in Donetsk?
I think life is getting more and more miserable and dangerous. Every day, every week, we are coming closer to this military operation towards these two major cities. It will be much more dangerous for the ones who stay there.
It would appear that the Ukrainian forces are starting to surround and act like a pincher movement on these two cities. Does that mean that the separatists will be using ordinary citizens as human shields?
That may not be their priority, but the ones who insist to remain in the city will, by default, will be under this, will be in the midst of this conflict. So I don't think that their main purpose is to use civilians as human shields. They were also discussing about evacuating more civilians from these two cities. But these are not regular armies. They can barely organize themselves, so they cannot organize a huge evacuation of a town which is about 1 million, if you are talking about Donetsk, and 500,000 in Lugansk.
But Kiev is making gains on territories that it had lost, hadn't it?
That's correct. But to make military operations and to take villages and small towns is one thing, but storming a big city is another thing.
What about those soldiers who actually have gone, those Ukrainian army soldiers who have gone into Russia? Are they deserters? Will they be tried as deserters, or was Russia just offering them a safe haven?
There can be individual reasons. I mean, like some of them may consider themselves as ethnically Russian, and they want to. They may seem they may be in a position of that they may think that they are forced to kill their kins. So the only way to go out from this conflict is just deserting the army and crossing the border.